When you're with a covert narcissist and you don't know that they're a covert narcissist and you don't even know what covert narcissism is, you've never heard of it yet, it can be remarkably difficult to figure out what the hell is wrong with that person. The behaviors that you notice, the lies that you hear, the the things that they do, the gaslighting. They will try and gaslight you for no reason in the most absurd ways. And you don't know that they're gaslighting you. You think that they're not all there, that they're hallucinating. With me and my ex wife, I was researching all sorts of stuff. I was researching different types of mental disabilities and retardations. I was researching people with very low IQs. I live in an area where the IQ here is extremely, extremely low. So I was researching that, like how, behaviors of someone with an IQ of around 80. Um, Researching people with multiple personalities because my ex-wife, every single thing she told me that she hated about her mother and that she was glad her mother was dead, every single behavior she said about her mother was what she did. And I honestly thought, before I realized she was a covert narcissist and what covert narcissism was, what I was thinking of was she had a very low IQ along with multiple personalities, having a multiple personality of her mother. And still, that did not make any sense, you know? Like, I was so confused. So, when I when I really had to sit down and think about what was wrong with her after years of my life just being an absolute struggle and always having bad luck, which was her gaslighting me, move things around the kitchen and then say it was always been there like that. And she would look at me with such an exaggerated look. Like, what did she say? She's like, I didn't put that there. You put that there. You don't remember? And she literally did that with her and cocked her head aside, like, do you believe me? As though she was trying to make it evident that she was a dumbass that was doing it to me. So I looked at her. I thought, okay, so she definitely did it, and she's making it clear that she wants me to know that she did it and that she's lying about it, because she put so much effort into acting that way, and it just, again, it did not make any sense. Like, why would someone lie and try and make it clear that they're lying in such a way, you know? So when I realized that she always wanted pity and that she was always like, "Oh, look at me. I'm just so sad and pathetic, not capable of anything. Don't you feel sorry for me?" It's like, "What?" It's like, "Look, I had this thing and then I broke it and smashed it. Now I regret that I destroyed that opportunity. Don't you feel sorry for me? It's not my fault that I chose to destroy it." What? So I just observed her. And later on, I realized what I was doing was called gray rock. And she'd be screaming and yelling about stuff, and I would just be there. I was just so exhausted and worn out. I'd just be staring at her. I already knew everything she was gonna say. As soon as she would sabotage something, I was thinking, okay, she's gonna come back, and I knew exactly what she was gonna say and how she was gonna say it. And then she would blow up at me because I'm not using up all my energy, saying, "Oh my God, you poor thing! It is not your fault at all that we were warned not to do that. You chose to do it anyway." Going against everyone else. You're definitely not everyone else is at fault for believing in you and giving you the proper information because they were correct means that it was so wrong of them, and that is what emotionally controlled you and forced you to destroy that thing to prove them wrong. And now it's all their fault. You are so sorry, you poor dear. You'd just be so amazing if it wasn't other people for sabotaging you, for doing these nice things for you. Ridiculous. Absolutely 100% freaking ridiculous. And that's when I compared her to my dad, a psychopath. My sister, also a psychopath. She got it from my dad. And I realized it's like this person is running off of the exact same software but simply a different source of supply. Otherwise, behaviors exactly the same. Recently, it's been discovered that there's at least a likelihood that covert narcissism is psychopathy. I would like to compare my ex-wife's brain scan with that of a psychopath. Actually, I should look that up today when I get home. I got her SPECT scan, but the person is just out of her mind. And when I start to notice the behaviors, and when I stopped looking at her as a victim, and I stopped looking at her as someone with a very low IQ, and I stopped looking at her as far as having any type of disorder from trauma or anything at all, no depression, no anxiety, because they're very often mistaken for having severe depression, manic depression from a traumatic childhood and everything. And once I stopped viewing her that way and I started viewing her as a psychopath with a different type of supply, the supply of needing pity, I was able to predict her behavior 100% dead on all the time. Everything. It was just remarkable how she'd be going on, and I would know everything she was going to say, and at what point she was going to switch it. Then her getting angry at me for not having any emotional reaction or giving her anything, and where it was going to shift and how she's going to do that, and just she was going to go on and on and on, and she could go on for hours. She really could go on for actual just 6 or 7 hours just going off screaming, yelling about she's so angry that there's absolutely nothing going on bad for her to be angry about, and that's what she would be angry about. My point of all of this babbling is this: when you don't know what covert narcissism is and you run into someone in life that has it, especially a 100% percenter like she is, it is extremely difficult to find out what the hell is wrong with them, simply because you, in a rational mind, you would never assume that somebody would be that their supply would be pity and needing people to look down on them due to their patheticness. People just don't think that way. And especially with narcissism, you always think that that person needs praise, and they're just so a lot of them are very flamboyant, and just like, I'm so great, I'm so wonderful, me, 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 me. Another thing is with the covert narcissist, they don't talk about them as often as they listen to you. And if you look at a covert narcissist while they're listening to you, you can see the look on their face isn't like they're so interested, and they're not really able to relate, so they say they do. And they repeat basically your words back to you in order to make it seem like they can relate. But you will notice that the look they're giving is, how can I use that against them? Okay, how can you use that against them in the future? Okay, how can I twist that, make it seem like I feel that, so they can feel pity for me and I can get more stuff from them. And when you look at them, the look of interest is more like they're absorbing as far as where to categorize things in order to influence you to get what they need in the future. And with my ex-wife, when I would share things with her, she would say weird things as far as, it's not the real you. I know the real you. You don't have to lie around me. I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Because I'm a very genuine person. I don't act a certain way in front of anybody. And then she would say weird things like that, as far as that only she knows the real me and no one else does. And I was like, huh? And so that, again, I thought that had to do with problems with her lack of intelligence or something. And it turned out later that that is what covert narcissists say to their victims. when they first start trying to meet. The point of it was trying to make it seem like trying to make me feel like she knew me to create a closeness. It actually wasn't meant to drive me or push me away a little bit like it did. But it's again, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to pick up on what is wrong with these people. But that's basically it.